Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video, I'm going to be creating two eye looks with a, well, newer palette, I guess, in my collection, although I've had it now for a couple of months. I kind of forgot that I had it. It was in a stack of palettes on the other side of this room, and the last time I sat down to film my true crime video, I was moving some stuff around, and I'm like, I have this palette. I have this palette. So it's taken me a while to finally get here, but here I am, and I'll be, like I said, creating two looks with it. And this is the ABH Norvina Collection Volume 1 palette. And for some reason, I had it in my head that it was Volume 4, but no, it's Volume 1. And the packaging, I will say, is a little obnoxious. It's that hard plastic packaging, but you know, I might take this on a trip with me. Probably not, but I can tell myself I would. And I think this is a gorgeous color story, really pretty. A lot of like purples and blues, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here happening. I love it. There's some neutral options, some really pretty pops of color. And I think today I'm going to be focusing on kind of like purple blue stuff. I'm going to put this shade here called, what is this? B1 in my transition area. I'm going to deepen it up with B4. And then I'm also going to use this shade here called D4. And then I'm going to use this one here called D2, and then this one here called A1. I thought that would be a cool color combination to put together today, and this is pinching my finger. And I do have my brows done, and of course this eyelid is primed in the P. Louise eyeshadow base in Rumor 01. So without pinching my finger again, I'm going to go into this shade first right here called B1 and put that in my transition area. And I have experience with this brand with two other palettes, the Jackie Aina palette and then the Riviera palette. I've never used one of these big boys ever until today. And ooh, that looks really pretty. So yeah, I'm excited to try this. I've heard good and bad things about these palettes, like that the formula isn't necessarily the greatest that ABH has ever come out with, but that they're nice palettes. So I don't know, we'll see. And this is very pigmented and it's beautiful. I love the shade. Kind of like hot pinky purple. Love it. And I did want to let you guys know that I did go and see my daughter and my grandson and my son-in-law, and it was a wonderful time. I will say, though, that the place we stayed in was an absolute dive. I was like, oh, we pulled into the parking lot. My husband's like, is this a joke? Are we really staying here? And I'm like, we're really staying here, honey. You know, it was okay. The room itself was okay. It's just the outside of the hotel looked a little like it had seen better days. I'm sure it has. And the city that they live in, I used to live there when my daughter was born. That's where we lived. And the downtown part of the town was actually really nice. And now it's taken a turn for the worse. It was kind of sad, you know, it's just, I don't know, not very maintained. And I don't know, I just was a little bummed out about that. But the house that my daughter is living in now is so cute. It's so cute. Oh, I love it. It's got a really nice backyard and front yard, huge actually. And then there's like a little pear tree, not orchard. There's just a few pear trees in some land right next door. And just really cool, really neat. And it's a larger house. I mean, you know, there's what, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, I think. Nice size kitchen, nice living area. Just a really nice place. And my grandson is just happy as a clam living there. You know, he was tootling around and shrieking and laughing and just so happy. So that makes me feel a lot better. Like I calmed way down once I could see that like everybody's doing good and they're living in a really nice place, nice area and cute house. And you know, it was just so wonderful to spend time with them. So wonderful. And it was really hard to leave. I did shed a couple tears when we left, but still, I feel so much better. I mean, I really just needed to do that. I just needed to go and see where they were, and now I'm feeling really good about it. Okay, so I think that looks good, but I do want to deepen up the crease. So I'm going to go into, I'm trying to decide if I want to go into the blue or the purple first, or maybe one of these up here. Actually, let's flip it up. Let's change it up a little bit. Flip it up a little bit. I'm going to go to this one here. Actually, this is A3 and put that in my crease. And I'm going to use one of my Blend Bunny brushes to do that. Oh, yes, I am. And we watched a couple of really good movies while we were at my daughter's house. We watched The Emperor's New Groove, which is one of my absolute favorite Disney movies of all time. And when my daughter was little, she loved that movie. That came out when she was around 1, I think. And every time when she would want to watch it, she'd say, I want to watch Baba. She thought he was a sheep because Emperor Kuzco turns into a llama, but she thought he was a sheep. It was so funny. And then we also watched the movie Up. Oh, that movie just gets me right in the gizzard. Man, that's a doozy to watch. It's such a great movie, but there's some pretty, just tender, sad moments in that movie. And it was my daughter here, I'm sitting here, and my husband's over here. And my grandson was just kind of tootling around the room, playing with his toys and having a grand old time. And my son-in-law was in their bedroom putting their new bed frame together. And there's some scenes that, I don't know if you've seen it, but I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, but there's a couple scenes that just get you. And I start crying. I look over, my daughter's crying, and then I look over and my husband's eyes are all welled up with tears. And he turns to me and he looks at me and he goes, this is a lot heavier than I remember it being. I'm like, it is heavy, but such a great movie. So that was fun. My grandson used to be really into the movie Shrek. I mean, he still kind of is, but he's not into it as much as he used to be. And that was something that my daughter would put on a lot for him with Shrek, just to kind of like, if he was having a bad moment, kind of like, here, let's watch a little bit of Shrek. He doesn't ever like sit and watch the whole movie or anything like that, but he will watch like little bits and pieces of it. But he's gotten over Shrek. I mean, like I said, he still likes it, but it's not like a staple, everyday staple anymore. And I do like the shade, but I feel like it might be a little bit patchy. So I'm going to go back in with this brush and just kind of go around that outer perimeter of that shade and just kind of blend it out a little bit. But it does look, well, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Could have just been user error too. Who knows? I get to talking and then I'm like, wait, what am I doing with my eyeshadows? Whoops. So now I'm going to go into the shade here called D4, and put that in my outer V. I want to keep this kind of contained to that area. So I'm going to use another Blend Bunny brush, and this is a B1, and this one was a B4, I think. This one here that I just used. Oh boy. My daughter, when she was little, loved Barney. Oh boy. We watched so many Barney movies. I can't even tell you how many Barney movies we watched. It was just like, oh, geez. And then she'd sing all the little songs and she'd clap along. She just loved those Barney movies. Oh my God. I was so glad that when she grew out of that, and she called him Barry. She'd be like, can we watch Barry? Yes, honey, we can watch Barry. And then my son was really into the Wiggles, which they were kind of obnoxious too, but more palatable for me than Barney. I don't know. Some of those kids in the Barney movies, I was like, but I mean, I know they had to be super happy and overjoyed and like, over the top, but they just got a little old after a while. I'm like, okay, tone her down. But I do think like the life lessons that were taught in the Barney movies were good. I mean, she was learning good things and caring things and loving and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man, I'm telling you, Barney was not easy to get through. Yeah, I do like that. That's a nice shade, and it's not patchy, I don't feel like. So I'm going to just go back in a little bit with the A3 shade and just kind of go around that to just kind of take that harsh edge off. And I would love to know what ABH palettes you have in your collection. And I'm not even sure when this palette was released. I probably could have pulled this into an old school palette series video, whatever. But I think it's been around for over a year, right? I don't know. I remember when these, there's how many volumes of these are there now? 5, 6, something like that. I remember when these started to be released, I was like, oh yeah, those are awesome. And then I looked at the price and I was like, huh. So when I went to TJ Maxx last, this is when I got this palette, I was like, ooh, okay, I can finally try one of these and it's not super duper expensive. I think it was 20 bucks, which I don't remember even how much these were when they were released. I have no idea. So maybe if you know that, you can tell me that in the comment section too. But I just was really happy that it was there and it was only 20 bucks. I'm going to go back in with B1 and just kind of add a little bit of that back too and just kind of blend things a little bit more. And I feel like all of these mattes are working together quite nicely, so that's good. Like that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good so far. So now what I want to do is add the shimmers now. And I'm going to go to this shade here. This is called D2 and put that down first. And then you know what I might do? I might put B3 and then A1, these three. I think that might look cool. We'll see. Alrighty, let's put this down right here. Ooh, yes, that's gorgeous. I also started getting Stitch Fix. Kimmy Poo, my dear friend Kimmy Poo, who she and I really need to do a collab together again soon too. I miss my Kimmy Poo. I mean, we talked, but I just would like to do a collab with her. She gets Stitch Fix, and she had a deal where you could like join under her, and I think it was like, was it 25 bucks off the order, or they waived your shipping fee or your styling fee, I guess is what it's called. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. My daughter used to get Stitch Fix and she really liked it. But she's thought it was getting a little bit too expensive for her for that time of her life. And I just always heard really good things about it. So I went for it and I got some really cute stuff. And my next order, I think, is going to get shipped out, I think, in a few days. So I'm excited. And I didn't show you guys anything I got in that order just because I don't know. I didn't know if you'd be interested in seeing what I got from Stitch Fix. But if you are and you'd like to see what I get this time around, let me know because I will show it to you. I'm currently not wearing anything that I got from my Stitch Fix order the last time. And I kept everything because it was so great. And I was really desperately needing some new clothes. And I like how that looks. That's really pretty. But should I use this brush again? Or should I use something else? I think I will use something else. I'm just going to put this down and use my Beely brush. And I am going to go into this one here called B3, right? Yeah, B3. It's A, B, C. Okay, I get it now. And they included a dress and a skirt in my last order, my first order. And I don't normally wear dresses and skirts, but they were so cute. And I'm so proud of myself for, like, you know, branching out and wearing things that I might not normally wear, because I really liked the dress and the skirt. They're really cute. And then I got a pair of like really cute jeans that you can kind of make them into capri pants if you want to too, like roll them up, and they're so cute. I wear those all the time. I just wore them yesterday actually. So cute. And then I got a couple tops. So yeah, really fun. And I really am grateful to Kimmy for, like, you know, having that connection so that I could take advantage of that. That was awesome. And I love these colors together. That's a beautiful pink shade. And I'm quite proud that I have pink around the outside edge here because I'm getting there, you guys. I'm getting over my weirdness with pink eyeshadows. I really am. Shocking, but I am. I'm doing it. Okay, I do love that. So now I'm going to go into A1 and put that towards the front part of the lid. I almost went on to Amazon a few days ago and ordered myself another brush set. And then I forced myself to come up here and look at my brushes. And I'm like, no, you do not need to get another brush set. I think, you know, some of my brushes I need to toss because they're just getting too old and kind of scratchy. But I love them because they work really well. Even though they are old and they're getting a little scratchy, they do work really good. So, but I just don't need any more freaking eyeshadow brushes. I mean, come on, man. Get it together, Erica. Oh, geez. It's just funny how I will think of things like that. Like, oh, I need to get this. I have to have this, you know, makeup wise. And I'm like, no, you don't. You're going to be fine without it. Just keep trucking, man. Keep going. You can do it. Okay, I really do like how this look turned out. I do have some fallout down here, of course. So I'm going to go clean this up, do my other eye, my face, my hair, just get it all nice and put together here, and I will come back. This is the finished look, and I really do like how this look turned out. I really like that eyeshadow palette. I'm glad that I finally found it in my pile of palettes over there on that side of the room so I could remember to actually use it and film with it, and really excited to create another look with it. But let me show you just a few things I put on my face for my finished look today. On my lips, I used a combination of two things. I used this lip crayon. This is from Maelle. I never know exactly how to pronounce it. It's M-A-E-L-L-E. And this is the Clearly Brilliant Tinted Lips in Berry. And I think this came in a BoxyCharm, I want to say. And I just hadn't used it for a while. And I really like how it feels on the lips. And I like the color. I thought it looked okay with my eye look. And then I wanted to make it a little bit more lighter pink maybe, and some sparkliness. So I added this from Saints Angel Sinners. This is a lip gloss that was released in the Fairy Tale collection. This is in the shade Savage, and it has this cute heart component. Just a really pretty sparkly pink gloss. You can't really see the sparkles, I don't think, in the video, but you can see them in real life. And then for my upper and lower waterlines today, I decided to not do a liner on my lids, actually. I used the Milani Stay Put Waterproof Eyeliner in Keep On Sapphire, and this has a beautiful metallic finish, and it works really well in my waterlines. Love this. And then for my mascara, I did use the Nobu Lash from Nobu Cosmetics again. I love this mascara. So let's look at the palette again quickly before we move on to look number 2. This is the, boy, this is hard to open. This is the ABH Norvina Collection Volume 1, and all the shades I used, sorry for the light glare, all the shades that I used today, I really enjoyed. At first, I thought this shade right here, this one called A3, was a little patchy, but it really wasn't that patchy. When I did the other lid, it was totally fine, so I don't know. And then this shade was beautiful, that deep blue shade in the outer V, loved it. Love this shade here too, and all 3 shimmers, this one, and this one worked really well. And I did pop this in my inner corner and then under both brows just a little bit. And then on my lower lash lines, I used this shade and this shade together, just kind of put them together and smoked them out a little bit. But yeah, loving this palette, and I cannot wait to get on to look number 2. So let's just do that now. Look 2 with the ABH Norvina Collection Pro Pigment Palette Volume 1. That's the whole thing. It's so funny to me how some of these eyeshadow palettes have the longest titles, like the Be Perfect, Stacey Marie, Love Tahiti, Carnival 3. I'm like, okay. So in today's look, I want to do reds, oranges, golds is what I'm thinking. And I think what I'm going to do is start off with this shade here. This is called D1, yeah. And then I'm going to be using, I think, E4, this one here, D3. For my shimmers, I think I'm going to use a combination of these 3 right here, these 2. This is C2, C3, and E1. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to use this shade. This is E5, D5, or C5. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, I just want to have some fun with this palette. This palette is heavy. But yeah, let's start off with this shade here. This is, again, D1. I'm going to put that in my transition area. And both brows are done, and my eyelid is primed in the P. Louise eyeshadow base in Rumor 01. And I'm going to go ahead and use one of my Real Techniques brushes to start off with. Yes. And I've had a really nice, relaxing morning. I got up this morning at, it was like 10 to 4. And I watched Jan Van's video, and then I watched Shawnee's video, so that was wonderful. I got to spend some time with my girls. And then I had a video call with Steph. And so I just have had a nice morning with friends, and I just love that. Really nice, really good way to start my day. And Jan mentioned something in her video that I watched this morning that I wanted to touch on in my video today. She was getting ready to go shopping with her grandkids, or for her grandkids. I can't remember if they were coming with her or she was just shopping for them without them. I don't know. I can't remember now. If I don't write something down these days, I'm gonna forget it. And I usually do a pretty good job of writing down things because I don't know what, man. My brain just is not with me all day anymore. It really isn't. It kind of scares me sometimes. I'm like, something will just happen and I can't remember it. It's weird. And I've never used to be that way. So I don't know. I think my brain is just full of a lot of stuff. And so just lets go of stuff, things it doesn't need to hold on to. I don't know. Anyway, so Jan was talking about her experience, her future shopping venture. And she was also talking about how it is to be a grandparent / parent, and how we get very caught up in like getting the child to their next milestone, or waiting, anticipating the next milestone for the child. And that a lot of times, because we're doing that, we're kind of missing out on what they're doing right now. And I was like, yes. And my daughter and I, we just had this conversation, very similar conversation anyway, over that past weekend when we went down to see them, about the fact that, my grandson is almost 16 months old now, and that there are people in my daughter's life, other family members, not myself, but other family members, that are constantly telling her things like, he seems to be kind of behind in this area. And are you concerned about that? And well, my child, when they were this age, they were way beyond this and that, like in terms of talking and walking and whatever else, all the different milestones that kids go through as they're growing up. And my daughter was like, do you think that he's behind? And I'm like, no, I don't think he's behind at all. And if I did think he was behind, I would tell her, like if he was delayed, I would tell her, I'd say, I'm a little concerned about this because, it seems like he should be doing X, Y, or Z, and he's not. But I've never been concerned about his development at all. And I had 2 children that developed at completely different rates, right? Completely different. My daughter was talking at like 9 months old. She could say, I think 10 or 15 words by that point. But she didn't walk until she was almost 2. She was like 22 months old when she started walking, and she never crawled. She would scoot. And of course, everybody and their dog had to tell me that there's something wrong with her and you need to get her to the doctor. And, why isn't she walking yet? And why isn't she crawling? I even had people that told me that because she wasn't crawling, she was never going to be able to do math. Like, what the hell? And, I have a degree in psychology, and I had taken a ton of child development classes. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'd taken a lot. And I don't know, to me, I didn't think she was behind, but then you start listening to everybody and their dog, and you start thinking, well, is she behind? And so I did take her to the doctor a couple of times, and they like x-rayed her hips and all this crap, and she was fine. And literally one day when she was about 22 months old, she stood up and walked across the room, and that was the end of it, But I spent so much time worrying and fretting and like in tears and like, what's wrong with her? Because all these people had to tell me that there was something wrong with her. My son, on the other hand, he walked at like, 15 months old, and he didn't really start talking until he was almost 3. And I could understand him. He would say different things and point to stuff, or I don't know. He had his own like little language that I could understand. Nobody else could. I just was much calmer with him because I'd already been through this big with my daughter. And I'm like, I'm not doing that again, ever. But I just wish that sometimes people could just kind of keep that stuff to themselves, and just let the child be the child. We're all different. Every single one of us is different from the other person. I mean, yeah, we might have similarities or whatever, but, I just think people get so wrapped up in trying to tell other people what they should be aware of and what they should be thinking about and like, concerned about or whatever. And it's just like, just chill a little bit. So I was just talking to my daughter about like, you need to turn that off. I wouldn't share every single thing about his life with every single person because, everyone always has an opinion and they're going to give it to you. And if you don't want their opinion, then I just maybe if somebody asks you how he's doing in a certain area, say he's fine. And then that's it. And also I told her, like, let's just enjoy who he is now because this is going to be over in a blink of an eye. They grow up so fast. And I think that shade's good. I'm just like talking and not thinking about what I'm doing. I do like this. I think it's a pretty shade. So now I'm going to grab this brush right here and I'm going to go into, I was thinking that one, but I really like this one. I'm going to go into this one. This one is E4 and put that in my crease. And it just, I don't know, listening to Jan's video just reminded me, brought so many memories back of how I was or what I was anticipating or waiting for when my kids were little. And I wanted to share a story about my daughter and her development as she was growing up. She had 22 ear infections in the first 2 years of her life. So that's basically an ear infection a month. Okay. It was horrible. And we found out later that actually her left ear canal had never formed properly when I was pregnant with her. And she's actually has a it's not called severe. I can't remember what the word is. Significant is not strong enough either. But she basically is deaf in her left ear. She can't hear out of her left ear at all. And, some of that is because she had so many ear infections, but also because she has this malformed ear canal that caused her to have a sensory and neurological hearing loss versus the other kind of hearing loss, which I just cannot think of the terminology today. But we didn't know that for quite a while. So when she was 2, a little over 2, I had her doctor place tubes in her ears, and they also took out her adenoids. And the whole point of doing that was to try to calm down these horrible ear infections, because she was just not a happy child, because she was in pain. I mean, ear infections hurt. If you've never had an ear infection, be thankful, because they hurt. They're awful. I've had several. They're not fun. And so, you know, she got through the surgery and was like a completely different child, you know, because she could hear. Well, I mean, she still couldn't really hear out of her left ear, but she could hear much better out of her right ear. The way the doctor described it to me is that her head was constantly underwater. I'm going to go back in with this brush, nothing additional on it, just kind of blend that edge out. And I was just thrilled that I agreed to have the surgery done, because she was just happy. You know, she was sleeping better. She was eating better. I mean, just doing all kinds of things better than she had been. So the idea behind the tubes is that they kind of fit right in the middle of the eardrum, and it's just to kind of keep things drained, and like if she were to develop fluid in her ear, it kind of like helps manage that. And she had no ear infections after the tubes were placed when she was 2, until she was about 4.5. And also the idea behind the tubes is that they're just going to fall out on their own. They don't really need any intervention. They just kind of fall out of the ear. And I had found the tube that was in her right ear when she was a little over 4 in her bedding. So I knew one had come out. And I would take her into the pediatrician for her well child exams, and they would always take a peek at her tubes. And I think that looks pretty nice. I like that. So now I'm going to go into this beautiful red shade, and this is D3, and put that in my outer vein of my crease. And you know, we were just kind of keeping an eye on the tube that was in her left ear. Like, let's just keep an eye on it, see what happens with it. Okay, great. So Sydney's about 4.5, and she is having a play date. And we are living at my parents' house at this time. And so her little friend comes over, and they're going to play, and you know, I've got a bunch of snacks for them and toys and whatever. And I think we were watching like Blue's Clues or whatever. And Braden, baby Braden, he was taking a little nappy. Well, he was like 2 at this point. And all of a sudden, Sydney looks at me and says, "Mom, I'm really tired. I want to lay down on the couch and take a nap," with her friend there. And that was not common. Sydney did not nap really at all from birth. I was like, "You want to take a nap?" And I said, "Well, what's the matter, honey?" And she's like, "I'm just tired." And I said, "Do you feel sick?" And she's like, "I'm just really tired, Mama." And I said, "Okay, well." I'm like, "Well, your friend's here," like trying to get her. She's like, "I just want to take a nap." And I'm like, "All right." So I get her all on the couch, and this is a gorgeous shade. I get her all on the couch and get her all bundled up in a blankie. It was like during the fall. And she instantly falls asleep. So I take her little friend and I bring her out in the kitchen. I sit her up at the kitchen counter and got some art supplies for her, and she's just having a grand old time. Really cute little girl, really sweet. I loved her. Now though, I do want to go back around, and I don't really want to do it with that brush. Back around with this shade here, and I think I'll just use this, whatever. I might have to grab something else for the yellow if I want to go back in with the yellow. We'll see. This has fuzz on it. Of course it does. And all of a sudden, I hear Sydney kind of like moaning in her sleep. So I walk over to the couch and I look down at her, and she rolls from her left side onto her right side, and this lava, literally looked like lava, like green and brown and yellow lava, is just rolling out of her left ear, like blah, 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 like bubbling. And I know it sounds gross, and it was gross. I was like, "What?" And I put my hand on her forehead, and she's just hotter than blazes. And I'm like, okay, she's obviously sick, obviously has an ear infection, and I got to get her to the doctor right now. So I call the friend's mom, say, "Playdate has been aborted. Get over here, get your daughter." And I got to get my daughter to the doctor's office immediately. So she ended up actually coming over to stay with Braden, which was really nice because Braden was still taking a nap. And my parents weren't home. So anyway, not that you guys need to know every freaking detail. So I race Sydney to the doctor's office, and they do like a, you know, kind of cursory look into her ear. And then they did this like little scan, x-ray type thing. And yeah, her eardrum, or the membrane around her eardrum, had ruptured, which that can happen when people have ear infections, and it usually heals just fine on its own. But because that tube was in there, It took her entire eardrum out, or like 3/4 of the eardrum, just bam, gone. That's it. So now I'm going to go into some shimmers. I do like how this all blended together. I think it looks very pretty. And I think what I'll do is start off with this shimmer here, and this is C3. And then I think I'm going to go in with this one, C2, and then this one, which is E1. Yeah. So the doctor's like, this is pretty serious. You know, like it's not just the membrane that ruptured, like her whole eardrum is basically gone. So she said, I'm going to send you to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. Now, Sydney was not in any pain at all, but she did say that she felt like she had cotton candy in her ear. That was kind of funny. And I was like, okay, well, you know, we'll get this dealt with as soon as we possibly can. So luckily I was able to get her in to see the ear, nose, and throat specialist very quickly. And basically, I was given a couple different options. The first option from the ear, nose, and throat doctor, who was amazing, by the way. And she's like a renowned ear, nose, and throat specialist in the state of Oregon. She's really good. She said what we can do is we can recreate her eardrum with tissue from her cheek. She said, but because she's 4.5 and she's growing at such a fast rate, that's something that we'll have to do quite often. We'll have to like add more tissue and like, you know, change the shape of it and this and that and the other because she's growing so quickly. And that's not going to be very fun for her because, you know, it's a lot of surgical procedures and she's little. And she said, or what we can do is just give it some time and see what happens, see how it heals. And I'm like, let's just give it some time and see how it heals. I'm going to clean this brush off. And then I'm going to go into the gold shimmer shade. That is really pretty. I really am digging the shimmers in this palette. I mean, I've only used a few, but there's not a ton of shimmers in here anyway. So this one I'm going to go into next. So like I said, we were just going to give it some time and wait. So what I would have to do is take her in to see this doctor like every, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, just to really make sure it was healing. And it was healing, but at the same time, you know, I mean, that tissue was gone out of her ear, you know, like her eardrum is gone. I mean, there was still a little bit of it left, but not much. And, you know, so I'm sitting here trying to debate, do I have them rebuild the eardrum? Even though I was also told that that doesn't always work, and have her go through all these surgical procedures for something that may or may not work, or do we just leave it alone? So the doctor says to me, this is what I recommend that we do. Because at this point I still didn't know that her eardrum was malformed. She said, let's do this scan on her head that will really show us exactly what we need to see. And she said, you know, she's going to be exposed to radiation, which freaked me out. But she said, you know, and I just always, every time that I do anything with a doctor when it's related to either myself or my kids, I will say, if this was your child, what would you do? Or if this was your mom, what would you do, or whatever. And she said, if this was my child, I would have this done. And I said, okay. So they did this scan. It wasn't painful or anything. It was just this, you know, big x-ray machine thing. And I love that. But of course, I'm blowing this way up too high. What is the deal with me and gold shimmers lately, man? They're just like, bam! Anywho, sorry for screaming. So we had the scan done. Like I said, it was painless for her. And it shows that she has this malformed ear canal. And she says, I think this is the culprit of this whole situation. Her ear infections, I mean, you know, she's getting them in both ears, but primarily in her left ear. Now I'm going to go into this beautiful shimmer shade. It's kind of a peachy gold, and this is E1. Put that towards the front. But she said, you know, I think this is really the problem. And she said, so we could, I'm glad now that we did not do the rebuilding of the eardrum, because this is a hearing loss that she's going to have regardless. And she said, I really don't know that the eardrum rupturing has really affected her hearing any more than it had prior to. You know, she said, I just think she has had a significant, I can't remember the word. It's not severe, it's not significant, it's something else. I don't know. Hearing loss. And, you know, it doesn't really matter about the eardrum or not. It's just, you know, her eardrum or her ear canal just never formed correctly. So anyway, it took about a 1.5 years for that whole thing in there to heal up enough. But, you know, my daughter is deaf in her left ear. And it doesn't really bother her, although she just, you know, if you're talking to her, if you're to the left of her and you're talking to her, she has to face you and almost kind of read your lips. If you're on her right side, she's fine. She doesn't have to look at you at all. But if, you know, so usually we try to always be on her right side so she can hear us. Now I'm going to go into this shade, back in with this shade, and then just kind of add it again with my finger because I kind of lost a little bit of it. So anyway, the reason why I'm relaying the story here today is because I had everybody and their dog telling me, well, you should have had the eardrum rebuilt, or why did you have that scan done? That's horrible. You exposed her to all this radiation. Why'd you do that? Or, oh God, I don't know, everything, you know. And I remember finally just saying to a couple people, you know, this is my child. She's my child. And I'm going to do what I feel is right for her. Now I'm going to go into the shade and put a little bit of that back on with my finger too. And, you know, everyone was like, well, she's going to have so many problems in her life because she's deaf in one ear, and, you know, on and on and on. And I'm just like, she had no problems because of that. You know what I mean? No problems. I mean, yeah, I'm sure she, you know, if she knew differently, like if she'd had the hearing in the left ear and then lost it suddenly, you know, maybe that would have caused more of an issue for her. But she's never really been able to hear out of her left ear from birth. So for her, it really wasn't that different. The tubes really did help her with all of that, but her left ear was just, you know, it didn't come along with her in the birthing process, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to grab this brush and just kind of go around the edge of these shimmers here. Just kind of calm that down. I do like these shimmers, but I felt like the peachy gold just isn't really showing up as much as I thought it would. I don't know. Maybe I should have put that next to the reddish shimmer. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty. I'm kind of like, where is it? But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, she's grown up to be this beautiful, wonderful person in my life. And sure, I mean, we all wish that her ear had been formed correctly and that she could hear out of her left ear. But, you know, we just, that's just life. That's her normal. So I don't know. But yeah, everybody just needed to weigh in and say this and tell me that and do that. And I'm just like, so I just don't ever want to be like that with my daughter and her son, ever. So now I think what I'll do, I was going to go to the black, but I don't really think I want to go into the black. I'm going to go to this one. This is E5, and it is this kind of this reddish brown, darkish reddish brown. I'm going to use one of my Blend Buddy brushes. So anyway, I don't know. When Jan was talking about that this morning, it just totally reminded me of things I had been through as a parent, and you know, everybody feeling like they need to tell you absolutely everything that you need to know. And I don't know. And also like racing from one milestone to the next. And it's like, let's just take a deep breath and enjoy. And that is one of the things that is so wonderful about being a grandma, is that of course I worry about him, but it's not the same. It's not the same as worrying about your child. You know, I can just, it's like I've mentioned in another video, it's all gravy. You know, I can just enjoy it and not worry about it so much, like I did with my kids. It's just a lot easier to just be calm and not panic over everything. But I do see my daughter doing the panic thing, and I'm like, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. It's going to be fine, I promise. This is actually more red than brown. I like this shade. I like this shade a lot. And this is kind of similar to the look that I did when I collabed with Jan and Shawnee, but whatever. You know, I just wanted to do something kind of like sunsetty or sunrisey today with these shades. And now I have that horrible edge, so I'm going to go back in with this, nothing additional on it, and just blend that out. And I know that some of you watching are not parents, and I know that some of you probably think I don't care about what happened to your child's ear. So, you know, I get that. But if you do have a child, or you have, you know, a niece or nephew or a friend's child or whatever that has gone through the ear situation, or that you see getting the panicky milestone stuff going on, and you've had to be the voice of like, calm down, it's going to be okay. Share that in the comments section if you feel comfortable. We can chat about that. I remember my mom used to tell me a lot that just because something pops into your head doesn't mean it needs to pop out of your mouth. And that's kind of what I want to say to people, you know, when they're the experts at raising children and need to tell you exactly what you need to be worried about, and, you know, totally panic you for no damn good reason. I just want to say, that. I want to look at them and say, just because it popped into your head does not mean it needs to pop out of your mouth. The thing that I love about my daughter, though, is she is amazing with her comebacks. She really is. And she says she got that from me. And I don't, I mean, maybe I am, I don't know. But she will be very gracious in her response, but just nail people. Yeah, sister, you go. I love that about her. And she's done that to me a couple times too. And then I'm like, touche, touche. Okay, I think everything's pretty blended the way I want it. I do have a ton of fallout down here. So I'm gonna go clean that up. Other eye, face, hair, be back. This is the finished look, and I really do like how this look turned out. However, both of my eyes are watering like crazy. So this part of the shimmer keeps creasing. I've been messing around with it and it just won't stop doing that. So oh, just looks a little rugged if you get real close to me. I did throw some black on my outer corners here, the outer V part, and I did use the black shade in the palette to line my upper lids. And then I used, well, I'll show you here in just a minute. Let me show you just a few things I put on my face for my finished look, and then I'll kind of recap the palette. For my mascara, I did use the Nobu Lash from Nobu Cosmetics again. I love this mascara. On my lower waterlines, I did use this from Beauty Creations. This is in the shade Lime Time, which I don't get that because it's yellow, but it's a really nice, perfect actually gel liner for the lower water lines. Just stays really well right where you put it, and it stays all day long. And on my lips, I did a combination of two things. I put the Cara Beauty Metal Liquid Lipstick in the shade Badass down first. I love this lippy. And then I topped it with some multi-chrome gloss from Ladybug Glow, and this is in the shade number 8. It's kind of like a pinky, there's like pink and green and all kinds of really fun stuff in here. And I just thought the combination would look really nice. Now I do like this palette, but my eyes are not liking it today for some reason. It could just be that I have watery eyes today, because that does happen, but it hadn't happened in a while. So I'm kind of wondering, like, is there something in here that my eyes are like, I don't know. These are pressed pigments, I believe, the majority of these shadows, but usually that doesn't really bother me. But I don't know, man. I don't know. But I did put a little bit of the black, like I said, on my outer corners, and then also lined or outer V area. And then I lined my upper lids with the black shade. And I really liked everything in here. This shade, it was kind of disappointing. Well, I don't know that it was disappointing. It just didn't show up as well as I thought it would, but maybe it's because it was next to these two shades. I don't know. And it seems like this shade is really bothering my eyes today. Fun. I just haven't had that happen in so long. I'm like, what's going on here? Could be that I had the air conditioner up pretty high in here too. You know, the cold air blowing in my face might be bothering my eyes. I don't know. But this was really fun to play with this palette. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed both looks. If I had to pick a favorite, I think my first look is my favorite out of the two that I created in this video. But I would love to know which your guys' favorite look is. And also, if you have this palette, what you think of it, what your experience has been with it. I'm really happy that I picked it up at TJ Maxx for like, I think it was like 19 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. Score. And yeah, I just, you know, I would love to go to TJ Maxx soon and kind of pick around in their makeup, but I don't need to do that. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.